Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Joseph Frost, Milliontown. So we checked out Frost not that long ago, a few months maybe, tops, definitely this year. We checked out an epic from them, which was almost like a 30-minute track, 25-minute track maybe. We're going to be looking at another epic today. This one being Milliontown at 26 and a half minutes off of the same album that last one came from. What was the track called? Blacklight Machine. Oh, that was only 10 minutes long. Wow, this is going to be quite a bit longer then. Let's dive into it since there's so much ahead of us. Milliontown by Frost.
Did you ever notice how in the Bible, whenever God needed to punish someone, make an example, or whenever God needed a killing, he sent an angel? Would you ever really want to see an angel?
I mean, right off the start, already the fantastic production I expect. Given that one of the main founders was like a Grammy-winning producer, if I remember correctly. I love that chord progression. It starts out feeling very modern, very rock, and slips into something a little bit more classical. Gives it a really nice symphonic sound to it. The production on the vocals is unique. I don't think I enjoy it, but I can't say I've heard it before, which makes it enjoyable. I'm pretty sure I made this comparison last time. Is it Art? I don't remember who I made the comparison. I think it's Art Echo. Yeah, just a synth-led, very positive, uplifting rock music. Really nice bass tone. A nice width to it without being too large. Fits the sound they're going for really well. Really nice contrast between the very full sound and the sparser one. No volume change though. Really fun stuff going on with the background synth. Yeah, so a nice 7/8 right there. Yeah, still carrying that melody on.
Yesterday, and before you know, you'll fade away.
So a lot of the ideas are still based around that 7/8, but the drums are giving us a 7/4, which gives us downbeats on the first group of 7/8 and offbeat accents on the second group of 7/8. Really nice harmony there on the vocals. Really nice phrasing on that. The drums have lined up with the 7/8 now. Interesting coloring outside the lines on that solo. Loving the extended cymbal work on the drums. Just cleanly moved to a 4/4. I'm curious what the lyrics are about. A lot of this feels rather uplifting and very strange line for me to pick up on there. I feel like that build-up would have been so much more impactful if we actually had a volume change. I also feel like there's a very stark division between two sides. I'm kind of hoping this is a core theme. But they have these darker, more atmospheric sections. We have some really heavy, large moments at other times. But a lot of it's juxtaposed with this very bright, uplifting, triumphant music. And it's structured in a way that feels like we're constantly clashing. I mean, have harsh transitions like that too, that isn't helping with my cohesive exploration of the track either. Here's that same vocal effect that we had at the beginning of the track. The lyrics just don't seem to match most of the music's atmosphere and feeling. I don't think I picked up on the musical theater aspect last time we checked him out, but it's very present. Just very powerful, big, and triumphant. Very much the opposite of what I just picked up in those lyrics. There is an interesting darkness coming in on the right, but it's so heavily overshadowed.
I watch them turning to things it might have been. These fatal days corrupted by our own affection. You're looking to me, but there's nothing more to say.
Interesting decision. We have our emphasis on the and of 3 and all of 4. Oh man. Of all the places, I was not expecting it to come back to this, one of our earlier motifs. Oh, this is a cool adaptation of it though. Very Dream Theater. There's a lot of reverb on that snare. It hits in the center, you can still hear it over on the right. I'm sorry if that's all you can hear now. It was a long time to hang on to that pull-off idea. It's a very full sound. There really isn't a lot of room for anything else. Oh, yeah. A little bit of funkiness right at the end of this track. Fun modulation there, both sonically and metrically. I'm kind of hoping for a halftime feel at some point here. I don't think we're gonna get it though. No, they're just going full speed ahead. Every time I hear something like this, it reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog for some reason. Like, if you played this over Green Hill Zone, it would just fit perfectly, and I don't know why. Wait, what? So I was going to make a comment that in the last 3 minutes we had two false endings. What are we going to, we have to have a third. So we do have two false endings. There's still 20 seconds left. Alright, I guess that's the ending for realsies this time. Alright, here's the thing. Based off of this and Blacklight Machine, I've only heard two of their longer epics, one being 10 minutes and one being 26 and a half. I think I can confidently say at least this era of Frost cannot write a bad idea. I think everything in here sounds great in isolation of itself. None of the sections I feel were missing anything, uh, could have been improved. They have a very wide harmonic palette that they choose from. Through this, we explore a ton of different vibes and feelings. It's not just the same four chord progression over and over and over and over. There's a lot of variety to the emotions that they paint with. And it's one of the things that really draws me to Frost is that they have more of a, I would clearly place them in symphonic prog, but not necessarily for their instrumentation or their structure writing, which certainly do fit more into the prog rock area, but primarily because of their harmonic elements. They write with a composition style that is divorced from rock. Yes, they do use rock instrumentation, and occasionally they do dip into more bluesier, rockier sounds, but for the most part, it honestly feels like what would happen if a soundtrack or even classical writer were given these instruments and told to make something. I find that novelty to be quite interesting. It's in the same realm as something like Big Big Train, but honestly, I think Frost does it. I don't want to say better. They both have different goals in how they utilize the rock and the expanded harmonic palette. They have two different goals in mind as well, so I don't want to pit them against each other. But I will say that Frost tends to be something I would listen to more often than Big Big Train does, even if they both interest me in the same realm of composition. But I have noticed between both Milliontown and Blacklight Machine that, I mean, if you watch Blacklight Machine, my reaction and breakdown of it, it's going to seem like I'm on repeat because I feel like a lot of the points I want to hit here are the same from when I checked out Blacklight Machine, but cohesion, where is it? I am intrigued about the lyrics here. As a whole, the lines I picked up on were rather bleak. Something about watching your family die, and something about being dead inside yourself, and about watching time pass on without you and stuff like that. Like very bleak, heavy lyrics. And then when the vocalist isn't singing, it's bright and cheery and uplifting. Yeah, let's go. Oh yeah, my family's dead. Let me feel. Oh, let's go again. It's just like I feel emotional whiplash listening to this track, and I really hope that that's reflected in the lyrics somehow, some way. I'm having such a difficult time trying to figure out why I would be brought down to such a depth for the very next section to have like the raddest synth solo with the most energetic drums and positive uplifting chord progression beneath it. The juxtaposition is just wild on this track. And like I said, I really hope that something in the lyrics ties it all together for me, but this sort of division is something that I feel all throughout this song. The many of the transitions are harsh and abrupt as if I'm moving from chapter to chapter, but there aren't solid breakpoints in the music to tell me. It's just literally we were doing this one thing and now we are in a totally different vibe. There were a couple of nicer transitions going on throughout here, primarily moving from a larger idea to a smaller one, usually moving from a bombastic synth solo rock section into something a bit more atmospheric and lyrically driven, usually a bit more somber to accompany these darker lyrics, but moving from the quieter stuff to the louder, more bombastic elements is usually not as smooth. It's usually a transition of this is what we were doing, now we're doing this, get on board with it. And it creates these very harsh barriers between the two sounds that they're accomplishing. And again, I do want to point out that in isolation, I think everything they do is fantastic. The bombastic, triumphant, positive, synth driven sections sound fantastic. I love their composition of them, the chords they use, the progression they use, the melody they put on top of it. It's an infectious type of positivity. Their darker, more somber sections are appropriately composed and orchestrated. The division of instruments and making sure that everybody can get in on this stuff, creating more space in the composition to accommodate more instruments without feeling so large and full. Even some of their heavier parts that felt like they wanted to just have a heavier rock or metallic sound, even though I don't think they quite accomplished it. Sonically, compositionally, it was there. And again, I think it was handled very well. It worked as far as their sound could push it without grittying up the overall identity of their sound as a band. All of it is composed well, and if any of them were their own ideas in isolation, I would not have a complaint. It really is this cohesion or lack thereof that really gives me pause and makes it difficult to get into the track at large. Anytime that I'm getting into something, I know around the corner, I'm gonna slam into a wall, get thrown out of the windshield, and end up somewhere completely different. I'm going to have to get my bearings straight again. It might be a completely different emotion. I might have to feel a bit more drained and somber here. I never really know. And the song keeps me on my toes that way, but in a way that makes me feel apprehensive to really connect with it. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this was the same complaint I had with Blacklight Machine, is that everything's really well done, just a bit disconnected. Now, something I did note right at the beginning was the production. It sounds crisp, it sounds clean, it absolutely serves this. What genre is this? I think I've asked this before, particularly with Big Big Train and the last time we checked out Frost. And I'm sure somebody gave me an answer, and I apologize for not remembering it. I get a lot of information thrown at me every day. Um, and so I can't commit everything, but I kind of want to say it's contemporary rock. That's what sits in my head, but also kind of how I envision it is rock your grandparents might like, or also subsequently theme park rock. I've heard music just like this, not the darker, drearier parts, but the uplifting, positive sections, um, often at SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and basically any park that isn't tied to a big IP. Although I have heard stuff like this at Disney World during their shows. You just don't really hear it walking around because they have like their music, the theme songs of stuff playing around. But it's that rock music that's just very palatable for all ears. And this goes a little bit further than Big Big Train does, and I think has a bit too much bite to it for that, but it's still very much, especially harmonically, in that same boat. And so I don't know what genre it is. It's symphonic prog, I think. Um, but there's just something about it that feels like it's for everyone in a way that not all symphonic prog is. But anyways, the production here is exceptionally clean. It's pristine. It fits the bright positivity of the music. It's kind of missing a grit, and I think some people are going to listen to that and not really know why it's not clicking with them. Maybe they do enjoy the composition, but it just isn't sonically something they like, and I guarantee it's going to be that. It's a very overly clean sound, but at least to me, it fits what they're trying to make. It does fall a bit flat when they're trying to be heavier or moodier or grittier. I think it could use a little bit of some grit, some destruction to the overall sound, but for 70-80% of this track, it absolutely fits well with what they're going for. There's a nice separation between all the instruments. It's just a very clear, clean, precise thing going on. Um, and it suits them. And I appreciate it because I can hear pretty much everything that happens in the music. But I'm not going to say that every bit of the production is perfect. And the one thing that I have a big issue with is the effects put on the vocals. I'm not sure whose decision this was, if it's an engineering side, maybe it's the vocalist, maybe it's whoever's composing the music, the main composer for the group. If they have one, maybe everybody, contributes. I don't know the dynamic. But somebody made a decision that a majority of the vocal lines need some extra processing on them, and it just never clicks with me. It feels exceptionally artificial in a way that just doesn't work. I think the cool thing about this sound being that it's very clean, very pristine, it sounds like it would live. And so I get a very organic feeling out of this music, even though a lot of it is yeah, it's slightly distorted, electronic. There's a lot of non-acoustic elements to it, a lot of digital components to it, but it feels very organic to me for some reason. And then the vocals come in and they feel exceptionally synthetic. They feel artificial compared to everything else. And it happens so often that it makes me question why they did it. I'm not going to say that it's bad, but it never quite works for me, and it always feels so distinct against the rest of the band. The other complaint I have is something that I brought up. There's no addressing this. It's not a problem, but I really wish the song had more dynamics in it, specifically volume dynamics. Many of the times that things appear quieter or louder, I pointed out over there on the sounds, yeah, the level, the volume level. They aren't. They're all the same volume. And some of the big impactful moments I feel lack the impact because they don't have that volume discrepancy between them. There is an illusion of contrast, but not actual contrast. And I think even some people are going to be able to pick up on that. I don't know how many. I'm not going to say like everyone would be able to feel this. Um, But I do think some people, even if they're not paying acute attention to it like I do, are still going to be able to feel that it's not as impactful as it should be. It should be a big moment, but it just doesn't hit you like that, and you don't know why. And I'm going to say it's the lack of volume contrast there. They do well with the layering, they do well with width and power, and like I said, there's just no addressing it. This is just how music is made today. If you make rock music, pop music, metal music, you don't have volume dynamics. You just have the illusion of volume dynamics. So that's more of a personal issue, I suppose, and not one that's really has any place in um, criticism for it. It's a subjective thing. Just because everybody writes music like this, and so I don't know where I'm going with that. Um, I think I touched on everything I wanted to. Great individual composition, lack of cohesion, really odd whiplash, iffy production, but overall, moment to moment, I enjoy my time with it. I think if you watched my reaction, despite having so many negative topics here in the analysis, when you actually watch the reaction, I was getting into a lot of it. There's some great layers to dig into. The harmonic element is certainly there, something worth listening and feeling out and enjoying. It's consistently has variety to it. A lot of this is done on just such a really big level, and I enjoyed my time with it. There's just a lot of hurdles for me to really want to listen to it again. Let's hit some lyrics and see what's going on there. Alright, so lyrically it's divvied up into 6 movements. The vocals were used quite sparingly in the song at large, and it makes me think that these different sets of vocals should all be read as possibly different chapters with events that happened between them. Unfortunately, I don't really have much of a tie between all of them. It sort of just feels like a series of disconnected vignettes. And I hope someone in the comments can clue me into what's happening here. I'm all a bit lost though. Maybe having the lyrics in front of me while I listen to the music would make sense, but additionally, when the lyrics are, when the vocalist is singing, as I mentioned, the music I think fits those events. The lyrics here are rather drab. There is a lot of loss, there's control, there's loss of familiar ties. There's being chained somewhere, barely living. Uh, there's an uprising that destroys a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's all really negative. And so all of the interludes between the vocal sections just don't really seem to match up with the story at play. Some of the heavier moments, sure, but the soaring synth lines with the triumphant music underneath it, I don't know how to interpret those within this story. Or at least a little bit of the story I picked up. It starts off though with a spoken word sample from The Prophecy, 1995. I'm not sure if that's like a radio show or a film or something. It says, do you ever notice how in the Bible, whenever God needed to punish someone or make an example, or whenever God needed a killing, he sent an angel? Would you ever really want to see an angel? And I think this is supposed to be profound in some way, but it just kind of makes me think like there's no critical thought going on. Of course, God sends an angel. There are only angels in heavens. What he's supposed to do? Go down to hell and say, hey, Lucifer, let me borrow a demon. I gotta go do some evil stuff on earth. Like, no, the angels are his army. It's the only messengers he has. But it's also cherry picking in that God also sends angels for positive events as well. So I don't really, I mean, like, it seems like it should be deep on one level, but when you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, duh, that's how it has to be. So, right from the start, I'm already a bit not on board with the lyrics here. Our first movement, though, seems to have somebody who is in control of a situation, and he's a ruler of some sort, and he looks very lowly. upon the people he rules over. It says, my worm cathedral, all earthy for your infestation, these little workers build me an empire. Your loyalty I burrowed out and mined by erosion. My little kingdom is ready for me now. Movement 2 is called Abracadaver. It happens quite a bit later, and it seems to be maybe the same person, but maybe having the vocal effects is supposed to tell me that it's a different person than the person we had in our first movement. So honestly, again, I'm not too sure how to read the connection between any of these vignettes. But it speaks about somebody who is surrounded by enemies on all sides. It says, with a cross upon the wall, I was blinded by it all. The faces left behind, these are no friends of mine. When your fears are cast aside, out across the great divide, rage is part of your design, but I won't play this time. There's a hero waiting in the line here on your own, all alone. It's possible this is the ruler that we were just getting the lyrics from in movement 1, and they have no friends around them anymore. There's a hero trying to stop them, but I'm not 100% sure on that read. Movement 3 presumably has maybe the same character, but also a hero. The hero that was amongst their ranks in the beginning. There's an us, sorry, a me and a you. Why do you run inside? Sorry, why do you run and hide here inside the lighthouse? You lost your way, and before it you know you'll fade away. You and I, we live and die, but we're not the only survivors. We're too blind to see that we're not the only survivors. So something happened, something catastrophic. And it looks like there's just the two of these people. I don't even know if these are the same two people we've been talking about for this, the hero and the ruler. I don't know. Minutes later, we move to a new movement. I number you, carving circles in your soul. As I do, cut your family ties before your eyes. Too much, too soon. Saved by the day and carried away, you're still falling. Movement 5. I awake again, and I'm alone. The thoughts I have are not my own. No one knows I'm here. The faces move around the room. Their voices cut into the gloom, but they're not listening. Won't someone please free me? I'm dead but still alive in here. The final movement returns back to many themes of our first, while also revisiting that really wavy, loopy vocal production. My worm cathedral, diseased by all this intervention, I watch them turning into things they might have been. These fatal days corrupted by our own perfection, you're looking to me, but there's nothing more to say. So we have the ruler brought back from the movement 1, possibly from other movements, again, I'm not too sure. And he's looking at his creation and realizing that they've been corrupted. There's death and despair and destruction going on. Calls it the fatal final days. He says, you look to me for help, and I can't really say anything about it. I'm trying to find the parallels here between the spoken word at the beginning, which is about asking your rulers for help and seeing the messengers they send, and realizing that it's not usually good to see the messenger. Silence from the God is usually the best situation you can have. And I don't know. There is a darkness throughout much of these lyrics. And I'm still trying to pair that with the majority of the positive, uplifting, triumphant music in the song. I don't get it. So the division that I have and the friction that the song creates with my enjoyment of it is only exacerbated by the lyrics. I really hope somebody in the comments can help me understand the lyrics and their placement in the story and all this stuff, but I'll be really surprised if anyone can explain to me why such dark lyrics are paired against so much music that isn't. Those are my thoughts on Milliontown by Frost. Let me know yours, though. I had a few questions in here. If you can answer those, be very grateful for that. Otherwise, just let me know your opinions. Did you enjoy this? Was there anything in here that stood out to you, maybe that I didn't talk about or didn't talk about enough? Maybe I got some things wrong and you want to correct me on that as well. Put all that stuff down in the comments section. Above that, in the description box, you can find a link for Linktree. It takes you to this menu right here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. There's a ton of stuff in there. Go ahead and check it out. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. We're going to finally finish up our studio versus live theme, looking at some Stevie Ray Vaughan. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.